Hello and welcome to your next home learning video. Today we're going to be learning about renewable energy. So today's WALT is understand what renewable energy is. By the end of the lesson you must be able to state examples of renewable energy sources. You should be able to describe how some renewable energy sources are used to generate electricity. And then by the end of the lesson you could be able to explain the advantages and disadvantages of different renewable energy sources. Don't forget to copy down the WALT and find 3 keywords within the WILF. So, what is renewable energy? Renewable energy is when the source of the energy can be replaced or reused. There are many different types of renewable energy sources, and the main ones are geothermal, wave power, hydroelectric, wind power, and biofuels. We're going to look at these in a little bit more depth throughout this lesson. There are many positives and negatives to using renewable energy. So first of all, we're going to look at geothermal power. So this runs off steam, same as most normal source generation of electricity. Okay. So up here we have our generator, which is a magnet turning a coil of wire within 2 magnets. So basically what happens is a coil of wire spins. As it's spinning between the magnets, it produces an electric current. To make the wire spin, we use something called a turbine. So the steam comes up, turns the turbine, which generates electricity within the generator. To get the water down to where the heat is, they use a pump. And then we have water to begin with. So what happens is water gets pumped down using this pump, gets heated up by all the heat from the earth down here, and then it comes back up to this pump because now it's steam. The steam is then pumped up, which turns a turbine, which generates electricity. Then we have wave power. As waves move, they force air along the top, and as they move, what this thing here does is it's a big concrete block, and it's got this tube here that goes over the edge, and as the waves come in it forces air up this tube, which then turns this turbine, which then generates electricity again through this generator. It causes the cord of wire here to spin within the magnets. Then we have hydroelectric power stations. You might have seen these around, or you might have seen them on TV. Basically, we have a dam, which builds up loads and loads of water inside something called a reservoir. Again, we've got a generator, a turbine. So what happens is, a dam is built, water then floods the area behind it, it builds up, and then water rushes down here, where it turns the turbine, which then turns the generator, so it generates electricity. This pump here is to flush any water that remains in the system out, so it stops water from clogging up the system. This here uses a system of gravity to turn the turbine. So the water runs down this pipe. As it's rushing down this pipe, it has enough energy to turn this turbine. Finally, we have wind power here, which is when it uses wind to turn the turbine. There are a few of these. You might have seen them near Dagenham docks, for example. That's probably the nearest example I've seen around here. What these here do is the wind comes in, it turns these blades, which then turns a turbine again, which then turns the generator, which causes electrical current to move. And then finally, biofuels. These are fuels that are made from sugar or used vegetable oil. They're renewable because the sugar can always be regrown, and also the vegetable oil can be remade and turned back into a biofuel. So the cons of renewable energy: wind farms. They depend on wind for operation. So if there's no wind whatsoever, basically you're not going to get any power. And also, some people consider them really, really noisy, and a lot of people say they're very ugly. Tidal barrages, basically they can destroy the organisms that live near them, and they can affect the habitats, so their chances of survival drop. And then finally, hydroelectricity. This involves damming or flooding valleys, so that means farmland or forest areas are normally destroyed. There are even cases where whole villages have been destroyed because of dams. Right, so hopefully by the end of this lesson, you can now state examples of renewable energy. You should be able to describe how some renewable energy sources are used to generate electricity, and you could be able to explain the advantages and disadvantages of renewable energy sources. Thank you very much for listening, and see you next lesson.